He defeated the Romans before Rome became Rome. He brought war elephants into Italy before it was cool. He crushed armies, humbled generals, and even Hannibal called him one of the greatest commanders to ever live. And yet, the man who survived a lifetime of brutal frontline combat wasn't killed by a legendary swordsman, a rival king, or a massive army. He was taken out by an angry old woman on a balcony. She threw a roof tile on his head and dropped him. This is the unbelievable true story of Pyrrhus of Epirus, history's most dangerous warrior, and the chaotic genius who just couldn't finish the job. Pyrrhus, the legend who haunted the dreams of Hannibal and Scipio. This guy was exiled, lived in Egypt, married his captor's daughter, fought in the East, reclaimed the throne several times, dueled against enemy generals mid-battle, stole enemy armies, rode war elephants, beat both the Romans and the Carthaginians, but had an issue. He never finished anything. He took war strategy to a whole new level. Pyrrhus, like Hannibal and Scipio, was a byproduct of his time and was born approximately 70 years before the other two, in 319 BC. He was a noble descendant of the Greek Aeacid house, and his family ruled over the kingdom of Epirus in modern-day northwest Greece. It's adjacent to Macedonia, and the two kingdoms had always close and complicated relationships. For example, Olympias, Alexander's mother, was a Molossian of the same noble house. Another example of the complicated relationship is also their constant struggle for power and dominance in the Greek world, especially at a time when Athens and Sparta were in decline. Pyrrhus always felt he was kin to Alexander and looked up to him. After all, he was born only a few years after the big man's death. Don't forget, this is when Alexander's generals carved the empire into smaller kingdoms and enjoyed non-stop their favorite sport, killing fellow Greeks for power. Pyrrhus's claim as heir to the Molossian throne of Epirus was put in serious jeopardy almost from his birth, when Cassander, king of Macedon, overthrew his father Aeacides. Pyrrhus fled to Illyria, where he was protected by Glaucius, the local king. Glaucius saw his potential early on and liked the kid, and helped him go back and reclaim his throne. After a while, he lost it again. He fled again and sought refuge in the court of Demetrius Poliorcetes and his father Antigonus. He joined them in battle and impressed with his martial prowess and tactical acumen. It is rumored that Demetrius proclaimed he would be the greatest general of his time if he managed to live long enough. After the battle, Pyrrhus was given to Ptolemy as an honored guest in Egypt. Ptolemy recognized his ability, married him into his family, and helped him reclaim his throne once more. Pyrrhus agreed to co-rule and promptly removed the other ruler. He became the sole king of Epirus, and since he was now an official neighbor, he soon started fighting with his former ally Demetrius. Our dude, assuming a certain big energy, started engaging in political marriages and power moves non-stop. One of those marriages was with Lanassa, the daughter of Agathocles of Syracuse, but he couldn't help himself. Lanassa left him, and Demetrius stepped right in, took her dowry, and attacked Pyrrhus. Of course, he marched right back at him. At some point, their armies met. The battle was fierce. Pyrrhus was wounded first, but even in that state, he managed to deal a mortal blow to his enemy. That's when his army started calling him the Eagle. After many battles, alliances, betrayals, and constant war, he secured his kingdom. But he never stayed still. He was always roaming, always fighting, always chasing something bigger. And that something became Italy. Southern Italy and Sicily were full of Greek colonies, and when they called for help against Rome, Pyrrhus didn't hesitate. He saw more than a war. He saw opportunity. Italy, Sicily, Carthage, maybe everything. He landed in Italy with 25,000 infantry, 3,000 cavalry, and 20 war elephants. The Romans had never seen anything like it. The first encounter was at Heraclea. He defeated the Romans, but it cost him experienced men. Another battle at Asculum. He won again, but now he understood something. Rome was different. They kept recruiting. They kept rebuilding. They kept coming back. Fast, relentless, unbreakable. After that battle, he said, "One more victory like this, and I'm undone." Now he had a choice: stay and finish Rome, or go somewhere else. He chose Sicily. He stormed the island, defeated the Carthaginians, lifted the siege of Syracuse, captured strongholds, and became king of Sicily. At this point, he was unstoppable. And then he did what Pyrrhus always does. He pushed too far. He needed more money, so he taxed the Greeks. And you know what Greeks hate more than anything? Other Greeks, paying taxes and obeying kings. They turned on him, overthrew him, and just like that, he lost Sicily. As he left, he said, "What a wrestling ground we are leaving for the Carthaginians and the Romans." After everything, after beating Rome, after conquering half the Mediterranean, Pyrrhus died in a street fight. An old woman threw a roof tile and ended it. And just like that, it was over. The news spread fast, across Greece, across the wider world. And the reaction wasn't celebration.
Bring me wine.
It was shock. Even his enemies felt it. Antigonus, one of his rivals, reportedly wept when he saw Pyrrhus's severed head. Not out of victory, but out of respect. Because a giant had fallen, and everyone knew it. The irony was impossible to ignore. This was a man who claimed descent from Achilles, a warrior who spent his life chasing glory, chasing the perfect ending, a hero's death. And instead, he got this. Random, absurd, unbelievable, but maybe perfect. Because in the end, his death matched his life. Brilliant, chaotic, and completely out of his control. His legacy? Complicated. On one hand, he was a tactical genius, one of the greatest battlefield commanders who ever lived. Even Hannibal ranked him above himself. Let that sink in. But on the other hand, he failed. Not in battle, but in strategy. He could win fights, but he couldn't finish wars. He couldn't hold what he conquered, couldn't stop chasing the next victory. And because of that, everything he built collapsed behind him. Again, and again, and again. Until there was nothing left. Except one thing, a phrase, a legacy that still exists today. The Pyrrhic Victory. A win that costs so much, it becomes a loss. That's his name now. Not just a man, a warning. And maybe that's the real story here. Because Pyrrhus wasn't defeated by Rome. He wasn't defeated by Carthage. He wasn't even defeated by that old woman. He was defeated by himself. By the same ambition that made him great. And in the end, all it took was one moment, one mistake, one throw, and one perfectly placed roof tile. So what do you think? Was Pyrrhus a misunderstood genius or his own worst enemy? And what are some of the other most bizarre deaths in history? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, Hit like and subscribe for more stories like this, where history is stranger than fiction. Thanks for watching.